video. We're starting the live video. And Christina Roberts, if you'd like to go ahead and start. Mazepink. Christina Mazepink. Married name, that's right.
Hi, I'm Christina Mazepink. Christina Roberts Mazepink.
There we go. And we're back.
Okay?
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. This is really real. So, okay, go ahead.
Alright, I'm Christina Mazepink of Onalee Cardigans, and I'm here today with Paula O'Donnell. She's been my mentor in the breed for longer than she would like to admit, since I was 12 years old. And she's gonna talk about the breed that brought us together.
Hold on. There we go. Okay. Welcome, Paula.
Hi, and we put an excellent specimen on this table today. This is the great grandsire of Telltail Cardigans. This is Dickens, better known as Grand Champion. I'm getting some cues here from the TV gallery. Grand Champion, Twin Rock, Santa Claus. And he was bred by Doris Lapoda, and he came to me as a fabulous stud feed puppy. I owned his sire, obviously. He has been the #1 dog in the nation. He has won numerous specialties. He's been the #1 sire for a number of years.
Dickens.
And he has some wonderful breed type features that I would like to point out. Can you get a picture of his
I can.
front here? Well, help us here. This is not only a beautiful front.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
However, please note the beautiful feet, well-filled feet. Cardigans are herding dogs. They need a good foot. And these are exemplary feet.
And how old is Dickens again?
He's going to be 15.
15.
Yes, and you can see he's in great shape. He's still herding. He's retired from the show ring, but he's still out doing bull herding, staying active, which is one of the reasons that we credit him with staying so healthy. He has made a tremendous contribution, not only to me, but to the breed in general. Many people out there have Dickens in their pedigree, and
What do you think he produced as a sign? Like, what was his biggest feature when he was as a sire? What is he given the most of? Fronts, top lines?
I think that he has made a contribution everywhere. I always told people, if you have top line problems, go to his sire. Dickens Dam came to the sire because she did not have the best top line. So that's in this pedigree. Nevertheless, he has produced some beautiful top lines, beautiful bone, great temperaments. This dog is the best to live with. And the older I get, the more I appreciate that.
His front is beautiful at this age. Neck and
Yes.
shoulders?
Yes, he's in great shape. He has, you'll notice, a slight wave in his coat. That's what Christina Marcel called a Marcel coat. I hate it. It's not a fault, but it is, you do spend a little more time on grooming his coat than I like to spend, let's put it that way. He's a beautiful mover. And I think we're going to put a number of dogs that he has produced on down the line. Yeah, says an old guy needs a rest. Okay, let me take.
Do you want?
Did you have any other
Nope.
questions? Hey, everybody is naked. This is Florida. It's 93 degrees today, so bear with us.
Will you discuss the standard as we're going? Head shape, eye shape, so on?
Sure.
And what you and Christina both look for? If you will both tell
And
us.
we had a very lively discussion on the standard yesterday. Standard in certain areas is open to interpretation. She is a hardliner. I'm a hardliner. She's a little bit of a soft liner. It was a great discussion.
So, okay, when you're saying open to interpretation, can you just give us a little bit of an idea of what you mean?
Okay.
And how you both think about certain things?
Okay, if I can tell you that when we get further
Okay.
down the line, because we have some dogs too. We brought a Miss Mark here today to demonstrate. What do you think? I don't want to take over. Do you have a comment? Or?
Well, let's talk about this bitch. So I think this bitch, one of her finest points is gonna be her shoulders.
Okay.
We ask for a laid back shoulder in this breed. And as we talk more about the front, you're gonna see how incredibly important the front is, or the shoulder is to the front, and how the way it lays back is very important. So she has, if you look here, when we measure our upper arms, we fall into the cusp here, and we come out to the point. Now, the ideal front, the ideal proportions here is we're gonna try to get the shoulder as long, or the upper arm, almost as long as the shoulder. Now, when you do get your shorter upper arm, you're gonna see it really easily. You're gonna see it in the motion. Now, this bitch is an incredible mover, so we know that she has a nice proportion of upper arm to shoulder, and even more importantly, her shoulder lays back. Because even if you have a nice long upper arm, if your shoulder's not gonna lay back, you're still not gonna have the motion, and you're still not gonna be able to use what they have as well as you would like. Something else, coming back to this bitch's front, that's incredibly important to this breed is the post-sternum.
Hold on, coming. There we go.
So,
I see it.
a high point of chest, very deep and eggy. This bitch has a spectacular front from every angle. So,
And
you want to
can you please just show us when you mean eggy? Can you just...
So eggy, like
Yes.
this, right there.
Okay.
That's we want it to be nice and eggy, and that's why we have the front is meant to be tight at the elbows and tuck around this eggy chest to support it. Now, I will show you a bitch later that I think is important that lacks the egg, and that way you can kind of see what the difference at the correct shape of chest. So she has the depth that we want down here, and from the side, she has the return of upper arm that sets her back. She has the layback of shoulder. Now, when you have all of these together, you're gonna have a nice top line as well. So, her stretch back a little bit. Now, with her, you want nice solid top line. This is a long back dog. So we're going to want a lot of ribbing. That's where your strength is going to come from in your back, and you're going to want a shorter loin.
So when you're saying long back, you're talking about length of ribbing versus length of loin.
It's
Correct.
1.8 to 1 is the exact proportion. If you look at a cardigan, visually it should look twice as long as tall. So you don't want your line to be in the loin.
Okay.
You take your finger back, you have a short rib back here. So when you're measuring the loin, you don't want to measure down here because this rib is short. So you want to measure a loin from the top. You slide your finger on.
Can you point that out to that rib one more time while I'm close by? Thank you.
Right there.
Okay.
There's your line. And see if I come down here, this is going to appear longer
Okay.
because. So one thing, Christine, if you don't mind me pointing out, a lot of people get this wrong, and it makes it kind of a pet peeve with me.
Okay.
When you're measuring an upper arm, you want to go to the point of the elbow
Yes.
and roll your finger inward. and then you go out to the point of chest. A lot of people go to the end of the elbow, say, oh, there's your upper arm.
Nope.
No, it isn't. You roll that finger.
So right at the
in
joint, and so what you're doing is you're showing where the joint is.
There's a cup
Okay.
in here. You go inside the cup. I see a lot of judges measuring upper arms when they're judging incorrectly.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, because that's a true measurement of the actual bone itself, as where to here, you're going to appear to have a much longer upper arm than you actually do, and in reality, you're measuring the bone back here as well. So there's your cusp right there. Okay.
And then you come out here to the point. You feel where your point is. And there's your upper arm.
Great.
One thing that I also would like to mention, I hear a lot of breeders say, oh, I'm going to breed for longer upper arms. Remember, long genes run together. Arms, you get longer legs. Cardigans are very hard to breed. We all want to get longer upper arms, but we don't want a leggy cardigan. We don't want long noses. By the way, the head should be 3 to 5. 3 here, 5 here. Her head, I'd say it's about perfect, wouldn't you,
Yeah,
Christina?
the proportions are correct.
Yeah, okay, you're on.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about the head too, I think something else that's really important is we want level planes, and that bitch definitely has it. So what we call down face does occur quite often in this breed, which is where you have your plane here, and then you have a muzzle plane that goes downhill. That kind of gives them a more Roman look, maybe kind of it kind of takes away from the look of sharpness and intelligence that the breed has. So you want your level planes. Something I would fix on this bitch's head, she has a phenomenal ear. She's got a gorgeous ear set. She has a beautiful head. She's a little round in the eye. So we asked for a round eye with 3 corners, 3 distinct corners, and she could have a little bit of
Okay. Hopefully we'll have, because we have a lot of incorrect eyes being bred right now. Eyes are not round, and they are not oval. Eyes should have 3 distinct corners. There's a corner, and then up here is a corner.
Okay.
You see? Maybe a tad.
yeah.
So that's very important. When you start getting small round eyes, you're losing a big type factor. Personally, I wouldn't keep something in my breeding program with a small round eye. I don't like looking at it, and I certainly don't want to propagate
Do you feel with a small round eye it changes the shape of the head?
I think it changes, no, not necessarily. I think it changes expression. I mean, it's like looking at a pig. And I'm a little harsh about that, as Christina knows. We, as breeders, and I do want to say, this seminar or webinar, and this is not, we're not talking about the company line. We do talk about the standard, but we're talking about what makes this our personal breeding program. Other breeders have different place values in different areas, and you can talk about
Leo Washburn said, good point about the eye, thank you. Paige O'Donnell has asked, can you speak to correct ear set and shape?
Okay, I think it will be real helpful as we put the dogs on the table for you to, I don't think we have anybody with incorrect ears, do you?
No.
They're all set well.
Okay.
There should be a line that comes from the corner of the eye out through the ear. The right here.
Okay.
Let me do
Okay.
right there. Ears should be rounded, not pointed.
Rounded.
And a
Can we
small-
turn
a
her?
small
Let's
pointed
turn her
ear-
this way just a little bit because
a
of the
small
light. Okay.
Pointed ear is
much
a
better.
serious fault.
A small pointed ear. Okay.
A small pointed ear is a serious
And you-
fault.
show
It's
me-
a big thing that separates us. This is what gives us our breed type.
Can you point out where the rounding is?
Here.
Okay.
See, so rather than having a more spitzy look, we have a nice round ear, a very wide base. And it's not going to be a high set erect ear. It's going to be, like she said, you're going to run your line straight from your eye back, and that's where your set of ears should be.
Okay.
In the middle of the ear. Okay.
Okay. Do we want to get the next dog?
Sure.
Grant?
Is there anything? Oh, we need to have
Oh,
issues.
there we go. Here we go. So go back to the tail set.
Okay. Tail set.
I'm sorry, everybody. We're in the country. We have good Wi-Fi, but it just keeps cutting in and out.
And we have weather coming in.
Yes.
The best way to check for tail sets,
Okay.
put your thumb up here, like this, and flip the tail up.
Okay.
This is a very good tail set. There's a slight slope to the croup. There should be. And some of the dogs, the croup will be short and the tail will come in way up here. And
Right.
that's an incorrect tail set.
It's
Lot of-
a high tail set is a serious fault in the breed.
Do you feel that a judge can do that to a dog on the table and they'll be okay with that?
Well, I certainly am.
I think so.
Uh,
We've had quite a few judges that
Yeah.
that will lightly manipulate the tail in order to see where the true set is, because there's a lot that you can do from a grooming standpoint, especially on a dog with a lot of coat, to give a sloping croup and a low tail set, when in reality the dog actually may have a higher tail set.
And too often, when I first started mentoring judges, that it was all about the tail. And I'd say, my goodness, why is there so, and if the dog flipped the tail up, well, how much is too much and how much is too little? It's not really, I mean, you don't want to see an Akita tail.
Okay.
But a tail that comes up a little bit, the judge, if it's a concern, go ahead and check the set. If you've got good tail set, don't worry about it. There's way too much emphasis on tails as far as I'm concerned.
So I just wanted to reiterate, in your opinion, tail set is more important than overall carriage per the standard?
It's not only my opinion,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
the
opinion of our standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That-
Yeah,
I
'cause we-
share it.
Yeah, we seriously fault a high tail set, but we don't actually have a carriage fault.
Okay.
And there's actually some good information on the Parent Club website, some articles that were written by, other
That's-
breeders, on carriage versus set. That is, I think, really important for
Thank you.
anybody to read.
Thank you for the clarification. I wanted to make sure.
Yes, I'm really glad that we were able to speak about that, because it has been a point of conversation for a long time. Okay, and who we have? Here's Pickett.
No, that's not perfect.
This is Grant.
Sophie, and that's Grant.
Let's do Grant.
Okay.
Dog
what I-
bitch.
What I want to do is do Babette's shoulder. Can we do that?
We just talked about the pressure.
We did Babette. Can we do a young dog, a
Yes.
middle-aged dog?
And then we'll come back to
So,
her
yes,
children,
yes,
because
yes.
I was trying to follow the line of
Absolutely.
inheritance.
Absolutely.
Hi. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Grant.
Wanna do Grant?
Pa-
That's Sophie, right?
This is
Babette.
Babette. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go ahead.
Now-
Pick it.
Now, how is he related?
Oh.
Well, he goes back, so his dam is actually a half sister to Dickens,
Okay.
and the sire. Okay. See, I'm a little hairy today. All right. So let's start from the front of this dog and work our way back.
Hold on one second. Pat, can you help me move this table just a little bit more this way so I can get out of the glare so I can get a better view? There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Much better.
Okay, stop. All right. So starting with the beginning on this dog, we'll look at the head. This
Okay.
is a really beautiful eye. It's a dark eye. It's a larger eye. It has a defined corners to it. He has the level planes. He has the lovely proportions, the 3 to 5.
Yeah, okay, here we go. We're back.
Okay.
proportion is level planes.
So level planes, he's got the nice proportions. He's got the 3 to 5 proportions that were where the muzzle is just a little bit shorter than your top skull.
Okay.
Okay. Now, he could, in my opinion, he could have.
You can see his head when it comes back. Okay, so he could have a bigger ear.
Yeah, I would ask for a little bit bigger ear on him. Now,
How much bigger? Like, tell me what you're talking about when you say bigger ear.
so with this dog, he's got this very masculine headpiece. So I'd like to see, maybe about that.
That much more
it's
ear?
Minimal, yeah, it's minimal.
Okay.
A lot of it is covered up by hair. He's a very hairy boy. But what I do like on him is that the ear itself is very correct in the sense that it's very round, it's very well set. Again, he doesn't have a high erect ear. He doesn't have a spitzy look to him. And so I would give him a little bit bigger there. Now.
Yes, David Lynch, the Wi-Fi is sketched because there's storms coming in, and we are in rural Florida. Sorry. We're doing the best we can. I apologize.
So here's our front now. This dog, now this is a moderate dog. We have a nice high pointed chest, about up here. We have, again, that nice eggy chest that's setting in to the legs. This is a mature dog, so our standard calls for, or allows for, an up to 30-degree turnout in the front. So this is something where a lot of people have some misconceptions. It's up to. So we don't want it exceeding. So this dog has a nice appropriate front. He has a nice appropriate amount of turnout for a mature male dog. He's a really nice foot. It's a well-filled foot. And you can see the pads. Pads are really thick and heavy. That's very important for them to be able to do their work over the terrain that they were originally bred in.
Put him on that side again. I would give this dog a little more length. Remember, it's 1.8 to 1. I haven't measured him, but I would give him just a little more length.
Where would you give him more? Could you point out where?
In his ribbing.
In his
A
ribbing.
little bit more like the
Yeah.
Okay.
He has a nice correct
Right
short
in here.
loin,
Mm-hmm.
but we still would like a little bit more length to him for his overall proportions. Now, his shoulder sets about right here. Could lay back just a touch more.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I honestly don't think I've ever had a dog that's ever had too much lay back of shoulder though, so let's be very clear about that. Now again, we have our upper arm here.
How old is Grant?
Grant is about 3.5 now.
Christine Glossman, Grant is 3.5.
So now, this is something that's kind of interesting that we do see quite a bit. He could have a little bit better lay back of shoulder, and sometimes that can cause, a little bit of a dip through here. So a lot of this is coat and grooming and things like that. But if we're going to talk honestly, I would definitely like to see that he had, so shoulders here, goes back into a little bit of a dip, and then comes back up into an otherwise relatively level top line. So there, he's being fussy on me. I don't have a collar on him. So
Lisa Croft Elliott asked about his top line.
again.
I'm not sure. It just came through. Lisa Croft Elliott, was that after she talked about it, or was the question before? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a delay when questions come through.
If I had a collar on him, it would help immensely.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a little dip. She just explained that. His shoulders could lay back a little bit better. When you see a dip behind the shoulders, other than in a puppy, in a mature dog, it's usually because you'd like to see a little bit more layback.
Okay.
Yeah, your shoulders carry a lot of muscling with them, and the higher up that you have your shoulder, you're going to have a bit of a thicker neck, a thicker, shorter looking neck.
She said she asked before, so there's a slight delay.
That's
so
fine.
she asked, you answered, the question came through.
Okay. So that's what I would say with him. That's where I would like to see. And then because again, he's a very he's there's a lot to him. He's very masculine. He's got really phenomenal secondary sex characteristics, which is important in the breed. You want to be able to look and see that a dog is a dog and a bitch is a bitch. Stop. Now, let's go down to his rear. So here we have his hips, and here we have the base of his tail. He could have a little bit lower set of a tail. Now his tail actually comes a little more off the bat than I would like. I'd like to see it a little bit deeper.
With
now,
a slope to the croup.
Right, correct. With a little bit more slope to the croup, and that's going to come as your tail sets lower. You're going to naturally have more of a slope to your croup, anyways. So, because he could have a little bit lower tail set, he tends to have what I call a square croup. And again, that's something that, you know, if I'm nitpicking, that I would fix on him. So your croup's about that long on him, and your tail set's about right here. Okay.
Could you show us his bite and what is a correct bite?
Yes. Actually, I think this one might be best done by Paula because she is what I like to call a tooth fairy. So it's a scissors bite preferred.
And what does your standard say about dentition?
We do not have any comments on missing teeth.
No comments on missing teeth, but the bite should be a scissor bite. Scissor bite, and we don't have missing tooth problem.
Okay.
Right.
Is it level preferable to
No.
Scissor.
No, not mentioned. Level is not mentioned.
Yeah.
Money.
No, you guys are about to bet money on what the standard says. I'm gonna take Paula.
I think it talks about level. I think it addresses it.
I'm gonna take Paula on this one.
We'll talk about it later.
So scissors bite. Storm coming. We got it. Scissors preferred.
Scissor.
overshot? Yes.
Okay.
So-
that would be preferred too.
So can you repeat what the standard says for me, please?
Although
okay.
a level bite is acceptable, a scissors bite is preferred. Cardigans do not currently have a problem with missing teeth.
Yeah.
Overshot, undershot, or rye bites are serious faults.
Thank you. Okay. Do we want to go? Who's next?
Sure.
Okay, we have Babette on the table. This is a Babette's son, and come on. Can you get up here?
Okay, Paddington next.
I want to do Sophia.
So far, we've had 3 brindles, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Brindles.
Brown brindles. So this is
That's this is a black dog.
okay. That's what.
And please,
Just speak up a little bit.
could you stand up here, please?
How old is he?
He is almost a year old.
Okay.
No.
Was that the illustrated standard? Sarah Davis? Yes, that's the illustrated standard that the National Club provides. You can order it at the Cardigan Corgi Club website.
Stop.
Okay, we're back. We're in. So this is Babette, which was the bitch we saw earlier. This is her son.
This is her son. He is 35 pounds. He is, the top end of the standard is 38 pounds. So, stop.
How old is he?
And
Is he a year old?
he's a year old.
He's
one, 1 year old.
Heather Fitzgerald, he's 1 year old.
And he is black.
Here, do you want me to stop him for you?
Let's see if we can't set him up just a little bit better. He's usually good on the table and when he's being fussy.
Pretty head.
This dog has beautiful proportions. I'm pretty crazy about this dog. I've been kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop as he grows up, like we tend to do as breeders. He has a very nice croup and tail set.
Let's do his tail set one more time. Okay.
So here's our length of croup.
So he has a much longer croup than the last dog.
Yes. Yeah. This is a phenomenal tail set and croup.
And look at his ribs. They go all the way back to here. This is so yummy. look at the length of loin compared to his ribs. I mean, this dog has breed-type features that we are thrilled about.
What is the proper coat?
The proper coat is a double coat. It shouldn't be too soft, and it shouldn't be wiry. Actually, this is a very nice coat.
And when you blow them out, do you blow them out open or do you blow them out closed? Like,
A lot of people blow the coats out open. I don't like it. You should just blow the coat down and not put too much air into the coat. Now, if our bitches are out of, or our dogs are out of coat, we'll amend that slightly.
Anna Zellen, his dam was on here earlier. Her name is
Babette.
Babette, and his sire is
His sire is Dash.
Dash.
Who,
So somebody said Dash earlier, so yes.
Now, just real quick, speaking on coats, the only extremely serious fault we have in the breed is an excessively long or soft coat.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, and we will. So the only extremely serious fault in our breed is an excessively long or soft coat, which we will show you later in an actual long coat that was kept for breeding purposes.
and I want to show you this dog's shoulder. This is a real decent shoulder. This is his upper arm.
So how do black and whites fare against brindles, against blues?
The quality, I can hear people starting to scream. The quality of our breed is truly in the brindles at this time. With that said, we are getting more and more beautiful blues, some beautiful reds. So, but generally, the deepest quality will be in the brindles.
Yeah.
At this time.
It is, just as my own personal opinion, I think black is truly one of the most important colors in the breed, though, since we, it's our access to the blues and to the brindles. So apart from doing a cross-color breeding, doing a blue to a brindle, the black is truly your key to creating, an even type across the breed, because the blues are kind of stuck in their own little corner, and the only way you can have access to them is through black. And so, that's black is incredibly, incredibly important.
Also, if you would come around so they can see his front, because I think this is going to be an important dog. Beautiful front.
Now, will there be more width as he gets older?
In here?
Yes. Will he develop more, or are we looking at?
I think he's like a year old, so I think you're pretty much looking. This dog is not going to get wide in here.
Okay.
And he also moves very well. He comes and goes clean. I also, if I could have a wish list for Phil, he's fulfilled a lot of wishes. I would give him a slightly bigger, because he's a big dog.
Can you just speak up a little bit more? I'm sorry, Paula.
Yep. I would give him just a slightly bigger ear for his size, because this is a good sized dog. The ear should not be so big that it's out of balance. People say, oh, the ears can be too big. Yes, they can. If it's out of balance with the dog, it's too big. This is a good sized dog, I would give him a slightly bigger ear.
Lisa Croft Elliott asked, what is the incidence of true black in the breed versus cryptic merle or masked brindle?
Like the incidence rate of
Yes.
it? Well, we can't really.
Be damned if I know.
Yeah, the problem is that you would actually, everybody would have to test their stock, and nobody does, so we can't actually have true numbers on that.
Okay. Wonderful.
Hey, are you good? Okay, I'd like Sophia next.
Could we do really quick before you switch dogs? Can we just talk about rear angulation? Because I don't think we've
Sure.
touched on rear angles.
Put her on the table and do
Yeah, we'll do it on a.
Let's,
Okay.
Let's do this. We got him up here and it's real pretty. So,
Yeah, so much time.
Yeah, so we, in the standard, we asked for a moderate angle to the stifle.
Moderate angle to the stifle. Okay. So would you please, for those who need more, just show us the stifle, the balance, the length.
okay, this ankle right here is
Okay.
called a second thigh.
Okay.
This second thigh should balance with the upper arm. These should be like same proportions.
Okay.
If you get a really short upper arm and a long second thigh, you're probably going to have a dog that flips, overdrives in the rear and flips in the front. So these two angles should be matching. Right there
Okay.
to right there. Hocks well let down.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, now this is a half sister, also a Babette daughter. Here.
Yes, everybody. I'm sorry that black dog's call name was Pickett. Now this is a half sister to the black dog. Her name is
Sophia.
Sophia. Same dam, and her sire is
Her sire is Paddington.
Paddington.
This is a line breeding as well.
Do you find, for both of you, that line breeding is essential?
That's a hard question to, yes, I mean, it's very important. However, the first dog that my foundation dog, who is Dickens' sire, who's a very important sire in the breed, had a mismatch pedigree. There was a little from column A, a little from column B. There was even an article written about him because he could produce so many stellar dogs. And, it was a bit unexplainable.
Christina, do you do a lot of line breeding?
Yeah, I definitely do a lot of line breeding, and line breeding is only as good as the line that you're breeding
That's
on, though.
right.
So it's incredibly important to remember that is that you can do a line breeding, but unless what you're line breeding on is exceptional qualities and breed type, you are only going to get what you've bred. So you're not going to necessarily improve on something that isn't exceptional to begin
Fair.
with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I just need you to speak louder when we talk.
Okay.
I know it sounds like we're shouting in here, but they can't hear it in there.
Now I have a problem with my
No.
voice, but I will try to
Yeah.
speak up. This is a half sister to Pickett.
Oh, she's pretty.
She is two and a half,
Yeah.
2.5.
and nice bitch. Again, look at the ribbing here, all the way back. This is all ribbing. We love to see this.
The signal thing. Okay, tail set and croup. Can you show me the tail set and croup on this bitch again?
God, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm shouting.
Yeah, see? Okay. So please show. We're back. So let's see. I can hear Kelly.
Okay.
Thank you, Kelly Mullen.
All right, tail set.
Tail set.
Okay, so she has a very, very nice tail set. She has a very nice croup, and it's hard to tell past her coat, but if you watch how my hand follows down, see that nice slope that we have?
Yes.
So she has the correct length of croup,
Can you show her angle?
the rear angles?
Yes.
Okay, again, we asked for a moderate
Yep.
turn of stifle, a well let down hock. She's a little up in her hock. What I do like about this bitch is that she has a nice strong second thigh, which is incredibly important, especially if they're gonna have a longer hock. They're gonna need a lot of second thigh.
Show the second thigh.
There we go.
See? That's incredibly important. So this is, this isn't a big fancy stifle. She doesn't have what I like to call like an ice cream scoop stifle, but this is correct for the standard. And again, this is very, very functional. Like I had said, I'd let her hawk down some more, especially when you take her pants away. But luckily she has a lot of second thigh to go with it, so it doesn't hinder her movement or her working ability
And
at all.
she moves very well. She handles that little bit of extra length in her hock very well.
So my question is, I've seen a couple dogs now, other than the black dog, that have a bit of a wavy coat. This would blow dry right out, wouldn't it? This would blow dry straight.
Yes, but it's harder. It's more work.
Does it affect the weatherproof ability of the coat? Does it
No.
affect?
Not at all.
Okay,
the
so-
texture is correct in here.
So now I'm going to ask this: is texture more important than the hair itself, or like the wavy versus straight versus?
It's probably all about the same.
Okay.
Yeah, texture is very important.
Okay.
You need to, this dog needs to be able to, they can go out and roll in the sand and come in the house and the mud will drop up onto your floor. It's great.
but functionality for what they do, the purpose.
Yeah,
It needs to be water repellent, yes.
But
So-
that's
yeah,
more
so
important
we
than
have-
straight or wavy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
The actual function of the coat is...
Well, the reason I'm asking the question is because, a novice will come in the ring. They don't know how to blow dry or prep their dog yet. And so instead, it's not a fault on the dog as opposed to if the dog had bad hair texture.
Correct. And that now, something I can attest to as far as if we're going to talk about the show ring and having a coat like this or having a coat with a profuse amount on the rear or maybe around the neck, is that since this is a silhouette breed, it does take away from their silhouette and their proportions. Now, you can, if they're too stuffy, too hairy like that in certain areas, it can detract from, the lay back of the shoulder, maybe their croup, things like that. So
Okay.
that's why it's important
Right.
to show ring, because being that you're looking at a silhouette, it can be difficult until you put your hands on it.
To feel it, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would you please show us her bite and her eyes?
And this is, hey, could we have, there she goes. Yeah, see that little
Okay.
corner
Yes.
up there? You need to have that. We're getting ready.
Is there a difference in the depth for bitches' fronts versus dogs' fronts?
The dogs naturally probably are going to be a little deeper in front just because think of men and women.
Does that affect?
That's not a good comparison.
No. Now, do you feel that the bitches have better side gait and less restriction in the front because of that depth?
Nah,
Okay,
nah,
They shouldn't.
they shouldn't.
No.
Yeah,
It should've-
I wouldn't forgive a male because that's one of our biggest things in the breed is that we don't want them to be coarse. So this is a dwarf breed. It's a heavy bone dog, but they should absolutely not be coarse. It mentions it several times in our standard. And we have a preferred size. We don't have, real actual, we can't wicket them.
What is your preferred size? What is
For
the
a
what
male,
is?
30 to 38.
Okay.
So it's very, very important that if they're going to be, on the large end of that they're completely functional and unrestricted and definitely not coarse.
And bitches are 25 to 32. So you could look into the ring
34.
and see, and you could look into the ring and see a bitch larger than the dog, and they both could be correct.
Can F. Henry would like to know if you can show and describe a desired pastern length.
Ah,
I don't think
Well,
we've shown a bad
okay.
pastern yet.
That's a lot depends. We want short pasterns. We don't want straight short pasterns. When you view a pastern from the side, you should have a slope. From the side.
From the side, a slope. So
Slope.
a little bit of laxity like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. When you have a pastern from the front,
Does that go back to where Christina said up to 30% turnout, but not necessarily? And so,
personally, I probably would not keep a 30% turnout in my. I just particularly, again, this is my breeding program,
Right.
so I do not like excessive turnout. One thing we have not, could you stop? One thing we have not spoken of is bone.
okay.
Now this is a bitch. This is a This is pretty large bone on a bitch.
Is it oval bone or round bone?
It's round.
Round. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Round bone, round feet. One thing that we see a lot of, and it's wrong, and that's shelly. Thin, oval, shelly bone. That is often accompanied by a hair foot. Again, I wouldn't even have it in my breeding program.
Okay. And we want to. Oh, now the long hair?
Let's do Paddington.
Is that his name?
Well, Paddington's the sire.
We're
so
going to
let's
start
go
with Paddington.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, and Christina.
So this is Paddington.
This is the sire of the bitch that we just looked at.
And we're
This is the sire of the Brindle bitch we just looked at.
Yes.
Okay.
And the mother was Babette.
So Babette, who we saw earlier, was bred to this dog, which produced the bitch we just saw, whose name was
Paddington.
no, the bitch. What was her name?
Babette.
No, Sophia.
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 Okay, so this Sophia sire.
So, this is Paddington. This is a dog I feel is of exceptional quality. I mean, not just for his color, but just in general.
What is his color? Can you just please say
So
that?
he is a red.
Red white.
Yes.
Red and white.
He's a red dog. I mean, this is a beautiful red. We don't have any preference within the actual red itself.
So do we have a color spectrum for red?
We do. It goes, so our red can pretty much go from this all the way up to, we've seen very like creamy light dogs with like a wolf sabling.
Okay.
So all of those are acceptable within the range of color. Now, what I can say is that we do have pinks, which is the little double E gene.
Okay. And when you
so-
say double E gene, does that include their pigmentation?
Exactly. So
Okay.
you can have a pink, is what we call them in this breed. You can have a pink and it can be shown, but it has to have a black nose. Anything other than a black nose is disqualification.
Okay.
Okay? So dark liver noses, light colored noses, disqualification. Now, you can have a blue dog with a butterfly nose, which is some pink pigmentation on the nose itself, although it is not preferred.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So the butterfly nose, it's not
Yes, yes.
a butterfly nose is not preferred.
Actually, this is part of our discussion yesterday. She was just saying if I was paying attention. The standard says a butterfly nose and a blue merle is tolerated. That's what the standard says. Well, what does that mean? It's tolerated. It has a negative connotation. We do know of a judge that withheld ribbons on a butterfly nose and a blue merle and called it lack of merit. My opinion, that's going way too far. But that's what the standard says. A butterfly nose on a blue merle is tolerated. So it's up for interpretation.
So could we say, for argument's sake, that the judge who withheld didn't tolerate it? Which is, and so, and is that, and would that be a way to interpret that?
Most definitely.
Okay. Because I know you do judges education for the National Club, so I'm just asking, when you say a word tolerated, if I find it intolerable, then I just don't reward it.
Right. And I have to tell you.
And this is your opinion. I'm just stating it. This is not a fact. I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So,
And somebody asked earlier, why did you choose this dog for Babette?
Okay. One thing I would like to say about this dog. This dog is owned by Kathy Baker. I had the better brother. The brother had better feet, better shoulder layback. We bred him 2 or 3 times. I did not like the puppies we were getting. I neutered him. He's a beautiful dog. This dog is not the quality. This dog is the producer. So there you go. Sometimes you just, when you think you have a few things figured out, they'll make liars out of you.
so
Hold on 1 second. Rita, nobody said that you should throw a butterfly nose if all the other qualities are good. We were just talking about, we were just talking about the way the word is in the standard
it says,
and interpretation. That's all that's all it was.
Oh, yeah.
My apologies if I came across or we came across that saying that was not it at all.
Right. And again, I think just we're talking about color some. The standard talks about color a lot. You know, most of our DQs are based in color, other than a drop deer. Now, I think it's much more important to focus on the structure of this breed. This is a dwarf breed. If you don't get the front exactly right, if you don't focus very, very hard on the proportions, the fact that you get a shorter loin, you know, things like that, then you have a broken down dog. So we talk about color a lot. It's addressed a lot in the standard. I cannot emphasize enough how important the structure is, okay? Now, this dog, this is a very nice fella right here. Very nice eggy.
And when she talks about eggy, think of an upside down egg in an egg cup. That's
Right,
what
point,
this.
yeah, the point.
That's what this should look like.
Right.
Now, one thing I would change about this dog is I would give him a slightly better foot.
Yeah.
I'd pad this foot just a little bit more.
If it has a
It's
little
not
bit
a
more
bad
fill,
foot,
yeah, and a little
but,
bit tighter would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly not a
His
hair
brother-
foot, but it's a soft foot.
His brother, who was the better dog, had exquisite feet. But this, as I said, has been the producer.
So we, you know, kind of grazed over his shoulder. He's got a decent shoulder. It's right about here. You can see kind of the angulation. So there's his upper arm right there versus our shoulder. So he's got a good,
Beautiful front.
a good length.
I love his front. I love his front.
Yeah, he does. He does have a nice front because with him, he has, again, decent shoulder layback. You know, again, haven't had a dog that has had too much shoulder layback. He has a decent amount of shoulder layback. He's got good proportion between his upper arm and his shoulder. And most importantly is that the actual angulation of the upper arm relative to the shoulder allows him to have a nice tight elbow up against his rib cage and to move correctly in the front. Real quick, part of this that you'll see in motion. So if you can't put your hands on a dog, but you're trying to evaluate his front structure via movement, coming at you, you want them to attempt to converge. So they cannot do that if
Single
they
track.
come.
They should converge, and
They should attempt to converge. Yeah, they should attempt to converge. It's difficult for them to converge because it is a dwarf breed, but they should try to go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now it's important because, you know, if you were to have them straight up and down like this, and say maybe your shoulders were too far apart, then you would have more of a bulldog front, and you would watch them come out from their elbow and not be as strong. They need to be able to wrap around this front, this large chest that they have, and support it in motion. Okay. So there's a reason for balance.
Turn it that way, yeah.
Okay, somebody asked about the width between the shoulder blades, what that means.
Okay, so on him, this is a male dog. He's a decent size. These are where his two shoulder blades lie. Now, in proportion to one. Now, typically, if you're going to have them too close together, you can tend to have a bit of a pinchier front, and then too far apart, which we do find more often as the actual issue. If you have your shoulder blades sitting out here, that's when your ability to attempt to converge the window. Okay, so if you were to take points and drop them straight down, it's tight through here. Okay, so if we drop the point of the shoulder down, that's where we're going to want to see his legs come to in motion. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we'll real quickly go over his tail set. Another really nice tail set, a longer croup, sloping. You can see it well on him because he's very naked right now, so it's kind of perfect.
So he is out of coat.
Yes, he's definitely out of coat.
He's really naked.
You can, I mean, pretty much everybody's out of coat. You can see this dog typically carries actually a very heavy coat. Now,
Do you think he carries a heavy coat because he long gene? Or do you think he just carries a heavy
He
coat?
doesn't carry the long.
yeah, that's
He doesn't carry coat.
That's his sire?
No, this is.
Oh,
this is a
okay.
bitch from a different breed.
I got confused. I'm sorry, everybody.
So,
Okay, good.
and again, a well let down hawk with a moderate angle of stifle. He could have a little bit shorter hawk.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something else that I find that we very rarely find. I've never ever seen a dog and said they have too short of a hock either. So kind of like with the shoulders, and then lots of second thigh on this dog, which is really phenomenal.
So what I'm hearing between you and Christina and Kathy Baker's here too, that this dog, though not the best one in his litter, has such outstanding qualities and is very prepotent in passing them on.
Yes.
Which is his front, upper arm, his second thigh.
Actually, his brother had more outstanding qualities. This dog passes them on. So, we try our best, and sometimes the genes don't work quite like we think that they should or would. This is a nice dog, but again, the brother was superior. This is the dog that produces. All right.
Okay. Let me see that. Can you please flash that for us? While we're waiting for the next dog.
I do want to
Wait.
show, I have some
Hold still.
companion dog people that have tuned in today. This is our illustrated standard. It's one of the best ones, I think,
Stop shaking.
of all breeds.
Just hold it still.
And it's 28 pages. It's filled with photographs. Anybody can have an illustrated standard. I think
sorry.
they're $10.
Sorry, guys. They're $10 from the Cardigan Club of America.
And if you want to send me a text, I'll be happy. If you don't know how to find the club, I'll be happy. Westminster
Yes.
on television. You wonder, well, how did they pick the prettiest dog? Every breed has a standard. This is the roadmap that judges study. They don't compare different breeds against one another. They compare it to the best dog according to the written standard.
Okay. So everybody's pointed out that you can also find this on the website and download it for free, or order order it in book form.
Okay.
And now we have.
This is our long coat. So this is when we talk about the hair being excessively long and soft. As one is our only extremely serious fault in the breed. This is it. And with her, she is also mismarked, as you can see.
Okay,
Now,
so I'm going to ask the question before we get into
What
it.
is a mismark?
No, not that. What I want to know is, so you have a bitch who is mismarked and a bitch who's a long coat. Why did you keep her for breeding?
Well, this is why we brought her today, because I think too many people, and this is where I deviate from the company line, people too often put these dogs when they're quality filled. This bitch has a quality pedigree, and she has quality structure. So the fact we brought her purposely to show people that just because she's a mismark, our standard says white should not surround the eye. Well, it doesn't get more of a more white than this.
Yeah, and when you also asked too that white should not predominate the head, and white should never surround the eye.
Okay.
So she's got lots of faults.
Well, here's my question. When you say white doesn't surround the eye, but she has a full pigmentation of her eye rim.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yes, and a lot of people, that's a good question to ask, because a lot of people think that's okay. By the way, this bitch has produced 9 puppies. 9 puppies out of 2 litters. There was only 1 puppy with too much white. It's not, I had somebody say to me, well, we hope you wouldn't put that much white in the gene pool. Depends. This bitch has not been strong for that. So go ahead, Christina.
So on this bitch, it's a little more difficult to see the structure on because of the coat. So I'm gonna try to lay my hands. This is a very high pointed chest, and you can see where my hands go. They sit nicely into that
Wow.
eggy, very high pointed chest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you see a high pointed chest, that almost always correlates with a long upper arm. And here,
Stay, Rose.
And here it is.
Okay.
This is the upper arm. So, wow.
Very,
And when you see a point of chest and it's way low down here, that's almost always an indicator of a short upper arm.
Okay, everybody's asking because she had curled her tail up wagging it. Does she have a high tail set?
I believe she does.
Yes.
And she's going to show us that she does. So that is a high tail set.
Yeah.
Okay.
flip it up.
So there's
See
no...
how,
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for showing that. So we now get to see a high tail set, and so then with the carriage, it makes it even more obvious.
yeah, her carriage, she's a very,
Oh,
very
she's showing
happy
it.
girl.
She's showing us.
And she's, yeah. So the carriage wouldn't bother me so much if she had the correct tail set.
Right.
So, but this is something that you just keep in mind in the whelping box.
Right.
Okay, when it comes time for breeding. And Kathy Baker has done a really nice job of
She had
that.
tiny hawks.
And remember,
Yes.
Okay, so these are little
Look at
tiny
those
hawks.
tiny
So these are
hawks.
tiny hawks.
Very, very nice tiny hawks. Again, a moderate bend of stifle. She doesn't have a big scoop, but
So-
she does have.
So this is a prime example of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
This is a bitch that has so many good qualities.
Is that her daughter? Let's show you her daughter.
Okay.
So we can get an idea for what was what they were going for with this breed. She's now this bitch is 5 months old. Paddington daughter.
yes.
So the red dog Paddington bred to that long
Okay.
coat bitch.
So the dog we
No.
saw just a minute ago, bred to the long coat bitch.
Now, we talked about Paddington having a very nice tail set. And then our long coat bitch had a higher tail set. Now look at that. We have a much more improved tail set on the dam.
Okay,
Not quite
and-
as good as the sire.
But is that an improvement? Okay, we're back.
Okay. So we had an improvement in the croup. Kind of follow my hand.
Right.
Again, kind of the hair sticking up and things like that. Very common. And then we have a much lower tail set than the dam.
Okay.
And she actually also has a much better carriage as well.
But we got the tiny hawks in this one.
We got a little bit shorter hawk, still maybe not quite as small as the dam, but
Shorter than the sire.
shorter than the sire. So the dam brought a shorter hawk. The sire brought a correct tail set. And then you'll go ahead and have a
And
look
this
and
is
see.
how old?
5 months old.
So
Okay.
she's 5 months old. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
This
a baby front.
Yeah.
So this is a
This
is
is-
a baby front. We don't like to see much turnout at a young age. It's very important. Personally, when we're evaluating puppies together, that's something that Paul and I have always agreed
And then it makes
Okay, go ahead.
is that the turnout tends to pretty much only get worse with age because they're getting bigger and they're filling out more. So they need to have a starting point and then something to go into.
And before you take her off the table, I want to see, we don't have any puppies here today, but I do want to show you how we look at puppies, if I can, if she'll let me.
And also something else that I do think that the dam brought to the table, that long coat mismarked high tail set bitch. Again, another very high point of chest. Also something to remember, sometimes the coat can be a little deceiving. She looks like she carries herself down here, when in reality, if you find that bone, it's actually up here.
Okay.
Okay.
She's a
something-
coat too.
Better shoulder than the sire.
Yes,
Much better shoulder than her sire. And again, not that he had a bad shoulder, but not as ideal.
But that really pretty front from the
But
dam.
what it really pretty front from the dam, and then the angulation and then the length of the upper arm of the sire. So, and something else that the sire brings to the table is a nice top line. Now, 5 months old, this is a good top line for a 5-month-old in my own opinion.
sure.
This is, not fluffed up, not groomed, not show ready type thing, but, it would take a little bit to have her dead level. So right now she's a little higher in the rear, which
Typical of my program.
yeah, and I would say most programs tend to grow in stages, yeah, but otherwise this is a really lovely bitch. Paula, would you like to show them how you would have evaluated the
Actually,
puppy, or you want to do it
I
with
think
Demi?
if I use
So
Demi-
Teresa Smith asked, I'm not sure, I'm perplexed, but I'll ask you. Do you find that your longer upper arms and better fronts follow the longer coats?
No,
Okay.
I also don't think
No.
we keep enough coats to really I haven't noticed a trend with it, but also, I don't think we also don't keep coats that often either.
One
Only when
thing,
they're exceptional.
and it depends on what we can keep for dogs. Christina can keep more dogs than I can keep at my house, so sometimes we make hard decisions. Also, as I'm older, if I'm growing on a prospect, I try to do some basic obedience with them, get them house trained, leash trained, sit, stay, so that I have a 9-month-old in the car. She may be going to a companion home. She's all house trained. I mean, she's ready made. If you keep too many dogs, I don't care who you are, it makes it impossible to do that. So that's, again, that's my personal choice.
Thank you, everybody, for answering the recessive coat answer while we're talking about other things. I appreciate it. They all asked if she could produce a long coat, and everybody said yes. If bred to
Yep.
a recessive or to a long coat, she will.
Yeah, and the sire didn't carry, so.
She's a clear bred to a fluff. She's bred to a carrier.
Clear, bred to a fluff.
Real quick.
That's
I
what
just
you
wanted
call
to
long
point
coats is
out
fluff.
Yeah.
Okay.
The beautiful eye on this bitch.
Oh, he has one too.
This
The
is
sire.
This is a very dark eye. It's a good size.
And
it's got.
So what I would like to know is the ear size is good for her age? Is it good for her overall? Is it good for a red?
It's good.
It's
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
say right now it's good in LV.
If she grew giant, just like Pickett,
It would be
Pickett's
too
a
small.
good sized dog. I'd give him just a tad more
Okay.
ear.
But for size and overall balance, this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at 5 months old.
Yeah, out of 5 months old, and we could change our minds, you know.
Can you please just take a moment to, while you're switching dogs, to talk about DM
Okay.
and health clearances, DM, whatever? What did you find important?
Well, we have, thank God, we have the ability
DNA marker.
to
Yeah, to test for it.
test today for DM. And if a dog doesn't carry it and the bitch doesn't carry it, it won't produce DM. You can't have it. And DM is like Lou Gehrig's disease is in humans. It's painless, but it does cause motor skill issues in the rear. They gradually lose the sensation. If you've seen dogs in carts, they may very well have had DM.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we have the test today.
It's a much larger issue in say Pembroke's than it is in Cardigans. I believe the last time, now it's been maybe 2 years, but I remember attending a genetic seminar at our national specialty, and they said at that time there was only one actual truly diagnosed case of DM in a Cardigan. Now you have to remember that to diagnose it, that takes an necropsy. So not everybody is going to do it. There's probably more dogs that actually had it, but at that point in time, really not that big of an issue. I find that most breeders, most of us tend to have DM clear lines anyways, and it's not difficult to easily breed for clear puppies.
Okay, so tell me more about this bitch.
This
Okay,
exquisite
this
bitch.
is another Paddington.
Sired by the red dog.
Yes.
Yes.
And who's the mother?
The mother belongs to Cindy Forbes. She has been a very good producer. Cindy and I co-own this bitch. Her half-sister was winner's bitch last year at the National. Also a very nice bitch. Oh, stop.
So she's a tricolor.
Yeah.
A black tri. Okay.
And one of the reasons I really wanted to show her,
Because she's ridiculously good.
yes, and
Also that.
I mean-
and she has a beautiful shape. Cardigans should be not have sharp edges. They should be curves and angles. If you look down over the top of this bitch,
Okay.
You have
your rear is slightly narrower than the shoulders. And that's, you see this kind of hourglass look?
Yes.
This is the fine points of our breed type. And I had debated about whether or not to bring her today.
Is she out of coat? Wait, okay, here we go.
You're seeing everybody in the raw, but yeah, she's definitely one where
She's a Paddington dog.
she's
Front?
she's she takes a lot after the style of her father, for sure.
I apologize for the signal, everybody. It's just weather related when you're out in the boondocks.
We like it out here.
Do you find that we have better back health with longer ribbing and shorter loin?
You know, we want to say, yeah, that's probably the case. I hesitate to answer that because I had one of my top bitches was very long in the loin, never had a back issue. And sometimes very well balanced dogs can have a back issue. Where's wood? I'm going to knock on wood. I've never had a back issue.
Somebody asked if you could discuss her underjaw.
Okay.
Yes, she has a very nice finish of underjaw.
I'm going to get down here.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an illusion here.
Because of her color.
Because of her color.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure people saw.
This is a very, very high quality bitch. If I want to pick at her, I'd give her a little bit better foot.
No, I'm going to ask this simply because
Good girl.
I can. Her color, she's a black tri, right?
Yes.
Do you think that's going to...
Tan pointed.
Tan pointed tri.
Yeah.
So do you find that she's going to have a harder road in the ring? I personally have never seen one win big, but with the bitch of this quality, do you think her color will hold her back?
Well, all I can tell you is that I think it was her first time in the ring. She received a 5-point major at a specialty. She's done very well.
No, but I mean more for all-arounders. Do you think they understand the colors? Do you think they have a tendency to only look at one?
I don't see being black an issue. I have, as coming from a professional handler standpoint and having exhibited a lot of cardigans to a lot of different all-breed judges, I would say the only time I've ever noticed any kind of true color prejudice would have been against blues. The merling, the pine, things like, or not the pine, that's incorrect, but the merling and the spotting and things like that can sometimes throw off the overall look of the dog, the overall balance maybe. But if you're a really good judge and you put your hands on the dog and you can find the quality and not be illusioned by different color patterns, then it's a non-issue. But yeah, that's been the only time I've ever noticed it.
One thing I will say, it can give them a slightly harsher expression. And actually, this bitch is very soft. If you see beautiful eyes, which she got from her sire, beautifully well-shaped eyes, well, her dam as well. And but sometimes the tan-pointed tries can give a slightly harsher expression. So it shouldn't.
Thank you, Kathy Klein, for telling us that the first Best in Show winner was a tan-pointed tri. And Mark Long wants to know, in our breed, in our silhouette breed, can you explain the importance of neck length?
Well, neck length is, shoulder. It goes down to shoulder. You don't have extra vertebrae in your neck. You have a better layback of shoulder, and that goes right back into our fronts, which are incredibly important. Now, the neck length, you're going to have a long, like this is a beautiful neck. She looks, what we would say, neckier, maybe a little bit more elegant because she lacks any kind of real stuffing. She blends nicely into a well laid back shoulder. So that's where you're going to get that look of neck and the seamlessness that comes with the laid back shoulder as well. The higher up the shoulder is, your neck's going to hit, and then you're going to have more of a dip back here, and then you're going to go into the rest of your body. So again, like Paula had said before, all soft curves on this breed. And the layback of your shoulder is critical to your top line, to your neck, to your front assembly.
Now, with that said, once in a while you'll see a dog with good reach of neck with a straight shoulder angle. I'm not quite sure why that happens. But that's why it's really important. One of my first dogs had beautiful reach and neck and was a little straighter in shoulder. Sort of generally, your short necks are going to be a little straighter in shoulder. But put your hands on them to find out for sure.
Yeah, especially on this breed, you cannot evaluate on standing alone. It's amazing how many times that we've put our hands on puppies and.
Paula, you are getting a workout today with all these, picking up all these cardigans.
That's all right. I'm used to this. This is a bitch that also goes back in my pedigree.
Okay, I'm not sure if everybody can see this, but this is actually
This is a black with brindle points.
a black with brindle points, not tan points, but
Right.
actual brindle points. See that? There's brindling in the tan.
And
Is
you'll get a little bit.
the points?
here in
Yeah,
your hands.
the points are all brindle. I'm not sure if it comes across as easily as I can see it, but okay.
I want to point out that this bitch, the bottom end of her standard for bitches is 25 pounds.
Okay, now you were saying she is, what is her weight?
She is 27 pounds. The bottom end of her standard is 25 pounds.
Okay.
The dog that I showed you called Pickett, he is within our standard. He looks like a big dog. This looks like a little dog. They're both in the standard. One thing today at a standard.
Okay, somebody is saying that all our blacks have points, either brindle or tan, as well as blue merles.
Yeah, everything's a try. Look like it. Odds are there's a brown hair hiding there somewhere.
Okay, so there's no real bi blacks.
No, there's not. Not
Okay.
in this breed. Yeah.
Okay,
They're all gonna
thank
be.
you Rita for that
Yeah,
clarification.
if they appear to be black, then odds are they're actually just brindle pointed, and it's a very dark brindle.
Got you.
One thing that I would change here, she's very balanced. She fits herself. One thing I would give her is a tad more leg.
Oh.
Yeah, because you have to remember this is a young bitch, so she still has a lot of developing to do. So she's gonna fill out more, drop her chest more.
So how old is she? And who is she?
She is, how old is she? Almost a year, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually, this is a Breitling daughter, which I will show you her mother's littermate. And actually not the first dog, the Grant dog, Brindle, the Brindle dog Grant that I showed you is a littermate brother to her dam.
Okay.
Stop.
Yeah, and she's actually, yeah.
Okay.
It's a dog we don't have with us today. It's a blue dog named Christian, that I feel a few Cardigan people will know about at least. So with her, she was a big improvement on her dam in the sense that she has the better length of ribbing.
She has big ears.
And she's got a decent sized ear for her size because she's not a big bitch.
I like her ears. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we are.
So again, this is really pretty. Rear angulation and
shorter hock,
stifle.
more bended stifle. Okay.
Yeah.
And who's next?
Okay.
All right. So let's actually let me do my Miss Smart bitch real quick. This is a bitch that's a litter mate to the Brindle dog I showed you earlier, Grant, who we said also.
Now you bred this bitch.
Yep, this is Minnie.
You've kept this bitch.
You bet I did.
And she is a Miss Mark. We obviously can see that.
She's a full-blown Miss Smart, yes. Not that white, it's.
There's not degrees. If you're a Miss Mark, you're a Miss Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no. It's Miss Mark is Miss Mark. There's no differentiation, whether it's a little bit.
If it's one eye or two eyes, it's a Miss Smart.
Right. Okay.
So we'll say split face sometimes, but and I say she's a full-blown Miss Mark, but that's only me just saying that this is a white face. Okay. So I kept bitch
I'll fix your phone.
because of
There we
stop.
go.
Stop. She's not a show dog, so she does not know what's happening right now. But with her, I loved her fill through here, She's a moderate bitch. She has a nice point right here. She's a good, I would say she would be a, you know, she has a decent shoulder here. She had the better shoulder of her litter. One of my biggest reasons for keeping her. And again, I don't quite understand this whole show dog thing.
And she's a little. It's true.
Haji, and she is actually more so in coat.
Okay, go ahead.
So, again, same thing that we kind of saw with the Brindle dog. Here's her shoulder. Again, not the biggest layback ever. A little bit better than our Brindle dog, but you do notice she does have a little bit more of a dip through here than what I would like to see. Here's our upper arm, if I can get through her very plushy coat.
And body.
So,
Paula, are the ears supposed to be set at a certain angle? Robin Salisbury is asking.
At a certain angle.
Off the head, is it 45, 90?
No, we don't measure it by percentage. Once again, you go through this should be the angle
Okay.
so a lot depends on your dog, how they're going to fit on your dog, but any dog, this should be the true.
Okay. Is that at rest? And then they just hold their ears up. So the angle is...
Yes.
Okay.
And very rarely, Cardigans are oftentimes not natural show dogs. So this isn't judges' education, but if judges should not look for a lot of expression on the table, because oftentimes they'll look like dwarfs.
Dwarfs?
Dwarfs. Yeah. And this bitch is no exception.
So
yeah,
so what we're saying is examine them on the table, judge them on the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, this is another one that I would like to see a little bit more ribbing in. Now, again, we have a nice short loin, so I'm happy with her back in the sense that we have the shorter loin, but I definitely want to see more length of ribbing. Just my own personal stance, I would rather keep a dog like this than one that had the better length, but it came from the loin. I definitely feel strongly about, first and foremost, producing a healthy dog. We have a shorter hock here, a nice moderate turn of stifle with our second thigh.
So why did you keep her for breeding?
So I kept her because, to me, in the breeding that I did, she was of the best quality. She had the better shoulder. She has very nice, in my opinion, I think she has very nice type. And even though her face is white, she has a nice underjaw. She has a very correct
Philip
eye.
muzzle.
Yeah, her
Can you
head
just
is-
point out her underjaw and fill a muzzle one more time?
So, stop.
Since Rita Hellberg has been
Look at
asking.
her.
That depth, okay,
Yeah.
I see
so
the depth.
because for her, you can see it peeking out from underneath, and you can see it from the front as well. That it has this nice finish through here.
This is beautifully filled. You don't want this to come down to a sitting back here. This is a beautiful fit. Bisou's the only one we have.
Is it catching out? Oh, it's back. Okay, so show me one more time, the fill of muzzle.
So the fill of muzzle, because
Right
so
there.
this through here,
Is the
this
fill
is what
of
we're
muzzle,
talking
and then
about.
the depth of the underjaw is there. Okay.
Yeah. So I think her head's exquisite. It's kind of interesting to look at a white head and look at the planes and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, something else with her that I really liked from the very beginning was the spring of rib that the bitch has, which is incredibly important. Now, it's a little difficult to see because she's a little fluffy, but you can see the short, our short loin, and then we have a nice fill of ribbing. This is something that she had even before she had puppies, and that was something that I was really looking for. I felt that it was something I was lacking at the time. I needed a little more fill, and she's proven herself to be a great producer. And I haven't actually produced, I've produced more white with other bitches for sure.
Okay.
Interestingly enough.
Who's next?
We're going to do her puppy.
This is
and
her.
We'll see why we kept
This is her puppy.
yeah.
So, this bitch is completely naked, real quick. And
How
she
old?
does. She is just a year, yeah.
Okay.
Now, just to note, she does have a small abscess right here that has to be drained. So if you see what appears to be knuckling over, that is what that is.
So we'll
And
look on this
actually-
side.
Yes. So actually, knuckling over a straight front and a fiddle front are serious faults. So it is important that we bring that up.
Oh, you can see that it's a bite.
Yeah, you can see she got a little bit of a bite and just has some filling. So our knuckling over, though, is going to come from here. That's when you have them pulling this over their foot. Again, serious faults. I personally, like, that would be something that I actually wouldn't even keep in a program as something that
I need to know, Paula, please explain this. This is acceptable color on the face?
Absolutely.
Color around both eyes.
Again, our standard says white should not surround the eye.
Okay.
And since she has a full black over here, it does also, white also does not predominate.
Oh, this is pirate.
This is perfect. Now, you can see I got a bit better length of ribbing with this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Got a better lay back and shoulder. I continued on with my nice high point. And I have, again, this is an immature bitch, but I have the shape coming in. I'm gonna see it fill into about there as she matures, ideally.
So would you say the two programs are very married? Telltail and Onalee? Do you find that your dogs are very related, like interchangeable?
I gave Christina her foundation bitch, and this is her foundation bitch that I gave her. And please note, I never notice that she has a round eye, but
She has
she's
a
perfect.
rounder,
We
yeah,
know she's
she's
perfect.
otherwise perfect. She has migrated into the era of perfection due to the fact that she is about 3 generations back on my stuff now.
And then so then,
You know how it works.
I know exactly how that
Yeah.
works.
So therefore, she can do no wrong. But we can pick on her granddaughter. Now, I like this tail set. She has a decent tail set. But she does like to carry it a little high. Standing on the table, you wouldn't think so. But in motion, I do have issues with her being happy because that's her temperament. That definitely came down from her mother, which we didn't really talk much about temperament here.
Somebody's asked me twice about temperament.
Okay, so temperament for me is for both of us, it's paramount. That was the biggest reason I went to Paula. Was because not only did she have the style, or not the style, I felt like that she had the best eye for the actual breed type. What she was producing to me is what they should look like. But also because of the temperament. I felt that this is a herding breed. They need to be attentive, they need to be intelligent, they need to be able to work, and as much as we work on our shoulders and upper arms, if we don't have the brain to go with it, we don't have a cattle dog.
but at the same time, they must be able to be good family dogs.
Yes.
We don't like to see shyness in the breed. However, temperament can be a little reserved.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like Pembrokes. Whoever has the food, they're going to wag their little butts and be happy. Cardigans bond very closely with their owners, and they're going to check you out before they sort of let you into their circle.
Yeah, I like to tell some people that it's a very shepherd-like temperament. Sorry, she sees a fly.
I see that.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and do pea soup? Sure. This is pea soup.
Pea soup?
Pea soup.
Pea soup. Intermission.
Actually, her name is Bisou, which means in French, French kisses.
Oh.
And Christina thought I was saying pea soup.
So she started calling
So
her Pea
now,
So now
She's
her name is
Pea Soup. I love it. So, question. Would Pirate be considered a tan point or brindle point?
Pirate is a brindle point.
Pirate is a brindle point.
That's why she looks so black.
That's why she looks so black. And how old is she?
She's just a year old.
Just a year old.
And naked.
So this is
this is Bisou.
Pea Soup. Oh,
Bisou, I want to show you Bisou because she has lots of quality. Oh, she just came in season. She has lots of quality, beautiful silhouette. I'm on the fence. She may end up going to companion home. She is.
What makes you decide that? What is
For me?
for you?
I'd like to see these elbows fit in a little bit better. Here, it's hard to show.
Okay.
You can feel it. The elbows should fit flat against the ribbing. I have a little bit of that on occasion in my breeding program. So that's a fault that I'm going to judge a little harsher than maybe I would other things, just because I've seen it before and I like to be careful about it. She has a ton of quality, beautiful shoulder, but I'm limited on how much I can keep. And this is a full sister to the
Picket.
black dog.
So would she be a great brood bitch, you think?
We'd have to, you can say yes, you don't really know those things. She has lots of quality, I will say that, and a beautiful shoulder.
Well, the reason I'm
She's
asking
got
is
a coat too.
the reason I'm asking is with the one what you pointed out, which was the elbow not fitting in. That's not the only reason you would discount her. Possibly, there's other reasons.
Well, I like her brother, Pickett, and I have to be extremely judicious about what I keep. Another thing I love about this girl, she's totally trained. As I trained her, her recall came like that. Everything I have taught her, she catches on very quickly. These are house dogs. They're not kennel dogs. So when they have fabulous minds and they're very, very trainable, they're just this girl is such a joy to live with. So she does have all these beautiful charms and stifle. So I've been on the fence. I mean, she's been with me, I guess it's 10 months now.
Yeah.
And I have been on the fence about her.
So I actually have a question for you. Just from
Speak
what
up so
I'm
he can hear you.
just from what I'm seeing on her, if I'm evaluating her, I feel like she has a little bit longer muzzle. Or am I seeing more of a illusion because of the tip? A touch, maybe not as much as what it looks,
like very small.
right. But I am also seeing that she's a touch longer in the pastern, and we were talking before about long
genes running together.
Yeah.
Long in her body, a little longer in her pasterns.
And I'll show you her upper arm. She doesn't have too long of an upper arm, but it's in comparison to her shoulder. Not short. I wouldn't say she has a short upper arm, but
That's your upper arm. It's pretty equal.
yeah.
It's actually pretty equal.
Somebody asked before
And
about
that's
hair feet.
Hair,
this
feet.
Is why
You have to find a hairfoot.
There wasn't anyone with hair feet.
Yeah, because we wouldn't really keep one. Now, hairfoot is these toes. See how they're they're just barely out of line with one another. Your hairfoot, you're gonna have these two middle toes are gonna be much more brought out. Again, I
they're
feel
gonna
like
be flatter.
yeah, they're gonna be more
Longer.
spread. Yeah, and they're not gonna have as good of an arch.
Do you
to
feel
them
she has
as
a little
well.
less underjaw? Somebody asked. Dana
A
Conley asked.
little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit less fill of muzzle.
Yeah, because I mean, considering that you have to pull up her
Right.
lip to kind of see her underjaw,
Okay.
and then from the front, not quite as much. I think a lot of this ticking does take away from her actual muzzle, but also the white tends to make things look bigger and more full.
And then length of body compared to Pirates. Mona Shaw asked about her length of body compared to Pirate.
This is a beautiful length of body. I don't know.
Is it proportional, do you think, for their sizes?
Yes, this is a much bigger,
Okay, Pirate's on the small end.
and I would say because this bitch doesn't have. I mean, so the lane's about here, so she definitely has way more ribbing than she does loin.
But proportionally, she's just a bigger bitch than Pirate.
Yeah, I do think Pirate is a little bit shorter in the back, not so much more up on leg, because this bitch has a good bit of leg underneath her.
Well,
But-
and she also is naked right now.
Yeah.
Also,
Okay.
I would like to say that when you feel, I like your hand to run down here smoothly. She has a little bit of bulk in her shoulder, and it kind of all ties in. This little bit of bulk,
That bulk and the elbows sticking out
Yes,
tend to run
uh-huh.
together. Yeah.
and that's,
You
you know,
can
and
kinda
I'm
see
really, this would be
She's heavy.
a very nice bitch in somebody else's breeding program. She also has an impeccable pedigree, but you have to take into consideration where you're going and what you need and what you want to concentrate on. So even though I breed on virtues, not faults, I outcross, then I come back in. I outcross, I come back in. So I weave my pedigrees. If a fault starts to show up with frequency, I really pay attention to it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do feel like, and I personally, with my own issues in breeding, I've also run into this bulkier shoulder, and I was more forgiving of it than Paula was.
See, this
But it continued to be an issue, so I am no longer forgiving of it. So.
Yeah, I think that's very well said.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to point out her feet are a little flatter and a little bit more splayed than what I like. You want those I mean, they're not bad, but you like to have those well-filled feet.
I feel like you're giving us all the reasons why she's going to be finding a new home soon.
Well, I'm just trying to, I mean, we've talked about a lot of virtues here, and she has a lot of virtues, but there are
Weighing
some,
them out. Yeah.
it's, I'm just trying to put this all together.
So that's all of our dogs today
Well-
that we wanted to show. So just to kind of summarize, there were a couple things that we didn't touch on. Mostly we didn't give you any blue dogs, so we didn't really talk much about blue eyes. So just real quick, I just wanted to say that that is a disqualification for us to have blue eyes in any of the other coat colors other than a blue merle. And again, blue merle is the only one where the butterfly nose is acceptable, tolerated. And other than that, now you can't, because you can't have blue eyes in the other colors. It does pop up sometimes. So was there anything that you would like to say kind of in closing?
Well, thank you for asking us to do this. I had great dread. I have served on Judges Education. I know how to talk about the company line. But when you start, as I thought about what we were going to talk about here today, breeding and having your own line is highly personal. I try to, I will go anywhere to breed to a dog. It's not like I want to breed to my friend's dog, or if there's somebody I really don't like in the breed, it doesn't matter. I will go to the best dog that I feel will be in will work with my bitch.
Right. Don't let any personal qualms
Yes,
stop you
personal-
from doing the best breeding that you can do.
And sometimes that can be a difficult choice, but I made that choice a long time ago. Do the best breeding that you can. I also would like to say we have a lot of people that are getting a bitch and breeding it. I was in the breed for 7 years, working with one of the grand dames of the breed. I was very fortunate, Norman Chandler, to have her as my mentor. And we talked about dogs for 7 years before I bred the bitch that she ended up, I think she was number 3 in the country. I studied pedigrees, got on planes, flew, looked at dogs, finally made a decision, had a
Okay, go ahead.
nothing in that litter was better than the mother. And I sold all the puppies. And I finished 2 of them quickly, nice puppies. But people said, this is your first litter. Why would you sell the puppies? I said, why would I keep them? They're not better than,
They weren't moving forward.
It wasn't moving forward. I think it's important for people to be very judicious about keeping puppies that are going to sort of keep them on the same level. You always want to try to breed better dogs. Sometimes breedings don't work out. And as Norman Chandler said to me, because I used to be paralyzed about picking a sire, and she said to me, listen, if you make a mistake, you will learn from that mistake. And so that helped me a lot, because I did make some mistakes. I was like, whoa, we won't do that again. But it really did help me move forward. So I think on a breeder's program, I would like to end up with that note. Be judicious, and be judicious about what you put in the ring. Sometimes I stand ringside, and you look at the judges or people complain about judging. Put quality dogs in the ring.
Amen.
That will only help judges learn this breed better.
Thank you guys so much. Everybody, the full video will be on the Chronicle site. Happy birthday, Paula.